Richardson parents are suing Detroit Public Schools, saying the district is ignoring dangerous buildings and it needs to fix them ASAP. So what do doctors have to say about these conditions there? 7 Action News reporter Kim Russell is live at one of the schools where parents have big concerns. Kim?
Yes, I'm live at Spain Elementary Middle School. You may remember this school. We've shown it to you. We've shown you the steam coming not only out of the parking lot asphalt, but out of the playground where kids play. We've shown you the mold inside. And one mom says after she saw our story, she started thinking, wow, that may be why my little girl has been sick. Many parents who walked with their kids to classrooms at Spain Elementary Middle School smelled something that wasn't quite right, but they didn't realize what it was.
To see all this on the news, it was very shocking.
After this mom saw 7 Action News' coverage of mold growing in Spain Elementary Middle School because the roof has been leaking severely for years, she became concerned. Her daughter, 11-year-old Layla, a 6th grader at Spain, has been sick.
The first year she was fine. I noticed over the last 2 years she's been having a lot of respiratory type problems, chest pains.
7 Action News spoke to Dr. Amy Marks, an allergy specialist at Beaumont Hospital. She says the most common problem is that long-term exposure to mold can induce an allergy that will leave you miserable anytime you're exposed.
Upon repeated exposures, you absolutely can have develop an allergy to mold, which again will cause the same symptoms. It could be respiratory, cough, difficulty breathing, nasal congestion, sneezing, itching, watering eyes, all of which is akin to being allergic to what's going on in terms of mold.
Dr. Marks says if your kids, like hers, have asthma, exposure to mold is dangerous.
So I would have reservations about sending them to school if I knew that they were going to be exposed to an environment that could elicit their asthma.
It puts Layla's mom in a tough place. Layla loves her teachers, her friends, and wants to keep going to Spain Elementary Middle School.
Fix the problem. You know, we want our kids there. You know, our heart is with DPS. We want our kids there.
And it's not just kids that are impacted. I spoke to a teacher on the phone who says that she is off on medical leave right now. She believes the conditions inside this school are making her sick. She has seen an allergist in a few days trying to get to the bottom of it. Reporting live in Detroit, Kim Russell, 7 Action News.
Fix our schools. Thank you, Kim.
This is the high school teacher who says the mold in her school building made her so sick she couldn't work.
Yeah.
She didn't want to show her face because of the backlash she said she's already received from the school district. She said she now understands why other teachers haven't come forward.
There had been other teachers complaining about a problem. I talked to my department head, and she said, well, there's been a problem out here and we've threatened to call the news for years, but we've all been worried about our job security.
These are the pictures taken just outside her classroom in the hallway. She said she'd never been sick like she was during the 07-08 school year.
This was the 3rd time I'd had bronchitis. I was so short of breath. I was coughing constantly. I was wheezy.
But during the school year, every time she complained, school officials said the test results showed the classroom was safe.
Sometimes there's nothing to fix.
Broken Arrow School's public information officer Keith Isbell told me after every one of the 6 mold complaints during the past 2.5 years, the school tested for mold. Only one of those tests caused any concern for the school. After every other complaint, Isbell said the tests proved the school was safe. So I got an expert opinion from Dr. Estelle Levitin. She's an expert in the field and the head of the University of Tulsa's biology department. She says the school district doesn't have any proof at all.
This is certainly not good enough to know for sure that there's a mold problem or no problem.
Her first problem, she noticed the school custodian, not a professional, was collecting those samples.
They're not using indoor investigators, a qualified indoor investigator who would do a walkthrough and note signs of moisture.
That's exactly what other school districts do, like Jenks and Tulsa Public Schools. They hire a professional when there's a possible mold problem. Another TU professor who works with TPS to monitor any mold in schools, he told me the type of testing used by Broken Arrow Schools is, quote, completely useless. Meantime, Broken Arrow Schools stands by its testing.
I think we're satisfied with the way we've conducted our maintenance of the high school so far.
The teacher who made complaints says she doesn't believe the school district is doing everything it can to make the school safe. She says there's a reason why she isn't the only one who's made a complaint.
7 is on your side with an update tonight. A Prince George's County mother who pulled her child out of school because she said mold in the building was making her daughter sick might have been right. This is a story you first saw here on ABC 7 last Friday, and now I-Team investigator Chris Papst has obtained a document that the district accidentally released explaining how mold could possibly have been in the school. Tell us about it, Chris.
Well, Allison, in this age of spreadsheets and Word documents, it's easy to see how someone can send the wrong attachment in an email. But in this particular case, that wrong attachment included information that the Prince George's County School District apparently did not want public.
Hi, Winnie.
For now, all 8-year-old Khalees Goodwine can do is talk to her friends through a fence.
It's really sad because I can't send her back.
For the last 2 weeks, this second grader has remained at home. Her mother will not allow her back inside Samuel Chase Elementary after the young girl kept getting sick inside the building with headaches, dizziness, and elevated heart rates. 3 times she was rushed to the hospital. Doctors say it could be a mold allergy.
It's a lot. It's really a lot. And they make me feel like I'm doing something wrong. Who would be comfortable with sending their child back there like that?
Despite these pictures Jackson took of water damage, the district has maintained there is no known health hazard. But that may not be the entire story. This letter was recently emailed to Jackson by Monica Goldson, the district's chief of operations, as seen here on LinkedIn. In her email, Goldson mistakenly included the unedited version, and whoever corrected this document wanted this entire paragraph taken out. It explains how the environment for mold to grow was found in the school in January of this year, but it doesn't say when the problem was fixed.
I was shocked. Something's going on. I just don't know what it is yet, but I'm not going to stop until we figure out what it is.
Now, Jackson said her daughter's doctor will be issuing a statement and a note, a medical excuse for her not to go inside this building anymore. And just about 30 minutes ago, Prince George's County School District did release a statement to us admitting that it did mistakenly send that email with the wrong attachment, but there is nothing malicious involved in what they were taking out and editing. It also said they recently had inspectors inside this building and they cannot find any surface mold. Live in Temple Hills, Chris Papst, ABC 7 News.
First, the parents of 900 preschool students in Pinellas County are scrambling to find childcare options after mold closed 11 Head Start campuses from St. Pete to Tarpon Springs. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Wendy Ryan.
And I'm Jamison Euler. All new at 6. ABC Action News reporter Sarah Hollenbeck is in Clearwater explaining what's being done to keep kids safe.
Leaders at Lutheran Services of Florida tell us that the mold issue vary from school to school, some requiring a deep clean, others requiring the removal of furniture, and at a couple of schools, mold particles were detected in the air. Signs posted outside 11 Head Start school campuses alert parents to maintenance issues. Amelia Fox says school workers detected the mold in AC and pipe closets and under sinks.
I think if we tested any building in Florida, you'd see the same issue. It's just been such a humid time.
Although Fox says some of the issues were minor, they decided to close all 11 campuses as a precaution.
We were working hard, so we've got some guys out in the centers now doing some additional testing. As soon as that's done, the mold remediation guys will come in and fix the parts that need to be fixed.
The closures impact 900 preschool students at the schools listed on your screen. The kids were supposed to go back to class tomorrow, leaving parents scrambling to find other options.
We feel devastated by that aspect of it. It was a hard decision to close the schools because we knew it put a hardship on parents.
Lutheran Services is working to place kids at the campuses with the worst mold into other preschools. They're also offering at-home tutoring for students.
We really want to do everything we can to help.
State workers last inspected the Head Start campuses 6 months ago. The state inspects all public daycare centers 2 to 3 times a year. Fox says they're tasking their maintenance team to look for future problems and will test the air a final time later this week to make sure it's safe for kids to return. Most campuses will reopen next Monday, but Head Start leaders tell us they'll communicate with parents about any further delays. Reporting in Pinellas County, I'm Sarah Hollenbeck, ABC Action News.
First up at 10, we begin in Craig County. For years now, black mold has been a major health concern for students at Veneta Public Schools. Now voters get their say on a bond package worth more than $6 million that promises to clean up the problem. All new at 10, 2 News reporter Liz Bryant has the story from Veneta.
This bond issue does not raise taxes, and it impacts every school in the Veneta system, with this building, Hall Hossel, needing the most work.
This whole section, 12 classrooms, will be completely torn down and replaced.
That replacement is an 18,000 square foot wing. It moves classrooms back into the building that have been too hazardous to teach in.
Now, those 2 classrooms there have been closed down since last September.
This mold problem has been a constant cycle for years. The district has spent a majority of funds on air quality tests and temporary fixes to the mold issue.
It's sad when you know a building you went to school with is falling apart and there's just no money to help. And
Mother of 2, Amanda Stanley, is in favor of the large bond.
Now I'm in Miss Haynes' class.
For her kids' allergies.
And it's nice that they're going to actually do some work to improve it.
The problem starts in the ceiling with a leaking roof.
Ceiling tiles are in some places non-existent because we just keep changing them out.
Then the water and moisture flows through the air ducts.
They had never been cleaned before, nor have any of the other schools' ductwork been cleaned. They desperately need it.
Finally, the problem travels down to the carpet.
The carpet is just wrinkled from years of moisture. And
the bond pays for a new roof for every school, cleans the air ducts, and replaces the carpet with tile.
We've got to do this. We cannot continue in the way we're going right now.
Well, Kelly, the discussions started with a timeline on much of the information that we've shared right here on In Focus. When the mold was first discovered, building upgrades, emails between Glenwood staff members, and the first notification of mold specifically from the school system to parents.
On July 31st, Howard County Public School System sends the email, finally, where they mention mold.
An email that, according to Tanya Tiffany's timeline of mold issues within Howard County, came years after the problem first surfaced.
On August 9th of 2013, Principal Brown sends a staff email talking about a mold outbreak that had happened in July due to hot, humid weather conditions.
The executive vice president of the PTA Council of Howard County presented the outline during Monday night's meeting, citing emails, previous parent testimony, HVAC upgrades, and reports done at the schools.
It was very interesting because it said, other than light speckling of mold, there was no evidence of mold.
The school system calls the meeting productive and a positive step forward.
Certainly, as you heard tonight, we've learned our lessons. When there's a mold issue, they need to hear about that, and they're going to continue to hear about that.
Linda Wise, the deputy superintendent with HCPSS, says since the August community meeting, the school system has taken a different approach to how they notify parents of mold.
Since that time, a lesson learned has been that every time we have a report of any mold in any building, we have communicated that to the school community.
Following the presentation, parents were able to ask questions.
Do you have a specialist that comes in specifically to look for potential moisture problems?
Ed Light with Building Dynamics, an industrial hygiene consulting firm that the school system says was brought on in a response to the community's calls, responded to many questions, saying so far at Glenwood, things seem good.
We did take a look at the actual areas in the school, over the ceilings, in the tunnels, and in the classroom areas that have been affected, and they all look to be in very good condition currently.
While parents say some kids are still sick.
Why was the issue considered one of maintenance and not health? And who made that call? It's reasonable to expect that if staff members were getting sick, so were kids.
The school system says health room reports of teachers and students over the last 2 years don't show anything out of the ordinary.
They showed a video tonight of the parents that testified at a board meeting months ago, and they're heartbreaking videos. We hate to hear of students being sick because of indoor air quality, because they, were injured at recess, or anything that affects the well-being of the children in our school. And that's why we're doing everything possible that we can to ensure that our buildings are safe, both the indoor air quality and everything else.
According to Tiffany's presentation, 7 schools were listed as having mold. The InFocus team reached out to the school system to verify that Faulkner Ridge, one of the buildings listed, did in fact have mold. The school system responded in part that Faulkner Ridge is no longer a school, office facility, or professional development center as it was for many years. We asked again if the building has mold, and we're still waiting to hear back.
But first, developing right now at 6 only on CBS 46, DeKalb County students evacuated, mold invading their classrooms. These gross images coming from Stevenson Middle School.
CBS 46's Jamie Kennedy live in Stone Mountain tonight. And Jamie, some parents are telling you they were in the dark about this infestation.
Yeah, exactly right, Sean. Parents very upset that the school said nothing to them. It was their kids alerting them to the situation. Now, the school had buses taking kids up to the high school to get them out of the hazard, while other parents rushed to the front door to get their kids out. Confused and frightened parents descended on Stevenson Middle School to pick up their children.
We don't know what's going on.
An email sent out the night before from the school says on Friday several HVAC issues were being addressed and that students would be moved to a more conducive learning environment. But a source with the DeKalb County School District tells CBS 46 the school has a major mold problem, sending us these pictures from inside the school. Parents I spoke to confirming the issue.
And today we're being told that it was mold at the school, so everyone has to come pick up their children.
Students saying they were told to stay away from certain areas.
We couldn't walk through regularly because there was mold.
Parents extremely upset the school didn't warn them before dropping their kids off.
Well, it was very alarming at the fact that we didn't even get a call from the school. The students had to reach out to us. Like my children had to call and just say, come pick us up. So it's scary because it's like with the COVID, now with the mold, it's really scary.
The school district source says a number of teachers and students have been calling out sick with headaches and coughs. Multiple parents telling me the same thing.
He had a headache Wednesday. He didn't know why. He said kids were at school getting sick, but of course I thought it was because of COVID. Wasn't aware of the mold situation.
We asked the school district about the mold situation and they responded by saying the district's operations team is addressing HVAC issues in certain areas at Stevenson Middle School. Parents saying that just isn't good enough.
You're communicating about an HVAC issue, which really might not be the truth. At this point, if kids are going home with headaches, again, I wasn't aware of that, so it's very disappointing at this point. I find it extremely disappointing.
Now, I asked the parents what will happen to their kids next week if they can't come into the classroom. They said they're not sure yet and they haven't heard anything again from the school district about that situation. Live in Stone Mountain, Jamie Kennedy, CBS 46 News.
TV station in town, we're going to see this next story. Parents fed up with their school system finally getting their voices heard. They attended a packed town hall meeting at a fire station in Woodbine last night, bringing up the issue of mold in schools. ABC2 was the only television station with a reporter at that meeting. One parent said her daughter attends Glenwood Middle and gets so many headaches she has to change schools now. Parents also told Howard County Executive Alan Kittleman they're not getting enough communication from the school system and have to rely on ABC2's coverage to get the information they need.
The reason why we feel this is a big issue is not just that there's mold growing in schools, but children are actually becoming sick because the mold's growing in schools. And, once this blew open at Glenwood, it's like, all these other schools are now showing up.
Well, County Executive Kittleman admits the communication from the school system could have been better, but does say by his contention, it is improving.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A WCCO investigation found new concerns about an old mold problem inside a Minnesota elementary school.
That's troubling for the children that are still there and for the staff members that are potentially still being exposed to this.
Parents say at least 10 students and 2 teachers left Jordan Elementary last school year after suffering health problems they blame on mold exposure. This first grader left with blocked sinuses and severe swelling. The district knew the building had elevated mold levels, but parents weren't told for months because the district considered the school safe. So why do families say students are still getting sick? WCCO investigates.
At first, you don't really notice it as it's happening, just thinking maybe you got a sick kid.
Their daughter has been in and out of Jordan Elementary School since she was just 6 weeks old. Isabel Coakley went to daycare in the building, preschool, kindergarten, and finally, first grade.
She had strep throat, she'd get respiratory infections, ear infections, she had huge tonsils.
For years, her parents had her treated for allergies, rashes, and stomach aches. Until last year, testing matched the same mold found at elevated levels inside her school.
It was mind-blowing. It was heart-stopping because that was the confirmation we needed.
Mold trouble at Jordan Elementary dates back to 2011. A cooling unit wasn't working and the fungus sprouted on carpets and in air ducts. The district spent at least $200,000 to clean it up. But parents told WCCO 2 more students left this school year due to sickness. So families hired an attorney, hoping to get a new company to perform mold tests. The district denied that request. Superintendent Matt Helgerson wouldn't talk to us on camera, citing privacy laws, but in a 3-page statement told WCCO the district takes health concerns seriously, and that last fall a minor air quality issue was fixed. Mechanical systems and walls were checked, and numerous consultants advised the school district there were no current air quality issues to address.
There are some cases where you'll end up with these type of situations.
Neil Carlson is a public health specialist at the University of Minnesota who's studied mold for 25 years. He reviewed Jordan Elementary's records. While he says nothing jumps out as an obvious problem, he does think a few more tests may be necessary and supports a second opinion.
If you're working with a doctor and the doctor just doesn't seem to be able to get it resolved and you're still having problems, ask a second opinion and see if that doctor can assist you.
The Coakleys don't need any more convincing. After missing 28 days of school last year, Isabel started at a Catholic school last fall. This year, she's missed 2 days and hasn't taken any medication since.
That's troubling.
Happening now, Fort Bend ISD officials address a mold problem that is forcing some students to start the school year on a different campus. They held a district meeting tonight to discuss how they would support the students and staff who are now temporarily relocating from Willow Ridge High School to nearby Marshall High School. Channel 2's Brandon Walker attended that meeting and joins us live now from Marshall High. Brandon?
And Dominique, we start this one off for you with a math lesson. Currently, there are 1,100 students enrolled here at Marshall. You combine that with the 1,300 students enrolled at Willow Ridge, and you get 2,400 students. Tonight, on the other side of that wall, Fort Bend ISD officials told parents there is more than enough space here at Marshall for both students from those 2 different campuses to be here at the same time. Cheerleading squads from both Willow Ridge and Marshall High Schools pepped up the crowd. A packed house of parents and students from 2 schools joined temporarily as one.
I don't have any concerns. I think they put together a very good plan.
This is a major issue that's impacting a lot of people.
Fort Bend ISD Superintendent Dr. Charles Dupree addressing questions tonight. Students from Willow Ridge High School will start their school year at nearby Marshall High School and stay there until October, we are told. This as Willow Ridge remains closed. In June, crews discovered mold in a band room. Later, the problem appeared larger after crews found more mold, prompting Willow Ridge's closure for cleaning.
I am a little curious about how quickly the mold consumed the entire building. Not so sure about that part, but I'm not a mold expert.
The school district isn't sure about that one either for now. They hope to get an answer once cleanup and repairs at Willow Ridge wrap up.
We're going to go in and test every system in that building to make sure that this is not a recurring problem.
That school needs remediation immediately.
The meeting went as you might have expected. Concerned parents.
Our district is really good at taking estimates, reassessing, putting things off.
And school officials trying to calm them down.
The safety of the children and the staff members is the most important thing to us.
By the way, I'm the social media person who blew this up.
Last month, concerns about mold started surfacing. The district ordered testing, and mold was found in one room at Corinth Elementary. It was quickly cleaned up. Pictures and complaints have also targeted Gaffney High School.
The band room is probably the worst off in Gaffney High because of the high levels of humidity present and visible mold.
The district has already started cleaning up problem areas, retraining staff, and more inspections at all facilities.
We've got a training lineup so they'll know how to identify mold and make sure that they know how to correct, rectify, remove correctly.
Those here say that's a good start.
Maybe they'll look further into each of these rooms instead of specific rooms that they did testing on at any of the schools.
This meeting may have answered some questions, but it seems to have raised many more about areas and classrooms to check for mold. John Lyon, WYFF News 4, Gaffney.